Well, it's been almost a year since I've gone over a specific animator that is quite literally a superstar within this modern era of Dragon Ball, and that of course is Yuya Takahashi. This month also marks the 3-year anniversary of the blockbuster hit Dragon Ball Super Broly, so it's as good a time as any to flick back a bit to 2019 and break down his work. Now, Takahashi contributed a significant amount of animation in this film, but we'll be focusing on a particular scene you've probably seen posted everywhere, and that is the kickoff to this fight with Broly. But now let's get into it. So Paragus sends Broly off into action. Broly then powers up and shoots right at Vegeta. Now right off the bat, animation wise, although it's really small, I appreciate that Takahashi animates Paragus' face on the zoom in. He could have just held the key pose, but with this addition, it adds just that bit more expression behind the animation. There's also some nice foreshortening with the arm. You could argue that even still that the hand is still a little too large, but it seems the exaggeration is intentional, quite a snappy movement in motion. Thereafter, there's some great smears. This is a technique to add a feeling of quick motion behind an action, and is something we'll definitely see more of throughout this scene. The next cut then begins with an extreme close-up on Broly before it pans out. Broly's rage is communicated perfectly. Even with just the eyes alone on the close-up, they say so much thanks to the angle and the exaggeration behind them. The way in which he also swings his head side to side with the camera, tilting along with it as well, all comes together in illustrating a sort of monstrous and out of control appearance to this character. Definitely a trait he seems to have picked up off another big name, Naotoshi Shida. The storyboard as well, with the low angle shot and the foreshortening, played their part in giving an imposing feeling to this character. And with Takahashi's deliberate move to break away from the more simpler look found in the character sheets, he manages to conjure a blend between nostalgia and drama, with this deliberate shift in style creating a distinctive change in tone compared to the more earlier light-hearted scenes of the film, an effect that the character designer for this film, Naohiro Shintani, very much intended and approved. Shintani was also well aware of the wow factor that Takahashi's work had garnered in the past, making him on paper the perfect pick to handle this scene, and Takahashi certainly follows through on that. But back to the animation front, as Broly launches past, there was a nice extra detail to have the soldiers knocked backwards from the aftershock of his aura. Right after, there's another dramatic close-up with those thin, squinted eyes, a trait you can see again in the work of veteran Dragon Ball animators like Naotoshi Shida and Tadayoshi Yamamura especially. Other stylistic traits like the wide pupils, most likely inspired by Keisuke Masunaga's work, are also on full display. In the next cut, Takahashi's camera work comes into play, zooming in and out as it tracks Broly. With the major shifts in the camera angles, Takahashi holds in on each one. This gives time for the audience to understand what's happening. The first two move by relatively quick to illustrate speed, with the next two being held on the longest to add more anticipation for the build-up into the punch, which does feel solid. You can see this throughout a lot of his work with holds, then quick motion, giving an interesting rhythm to battles while also having power. Now, the drawback for the release could have been dampened with how the camera cuts out where his right arm is, so you don't visually see as much of the anticipation behind this punch. However, the way he animates the left side of his body, in particular the arm, manages to still give weight, and quite literally, as it starts to swing right, like it would when twisting your body, then left as he releases it. He also adds holds on the punch for about 38 frames. This amount of time adds drama and provides that wow factor behind it. There was also a small reference I didn't notice until flicking through frame by frame, and that is that both Goku and Vegeta take on their classic battle poses from when they first fought. But the fight begins to ramp up, with Broly throwing out multiple attacks as they zoom all over the ice. Vegeta then gets his own kick in and Broly shoots back, with Vegeta then casually taking his jacket off while dodging his attacks. The anticipation and general timing behind Broly's punches is excellent, giving a lot of weight behind his actions. The dynamic poses especially aid it, such as this one here, with Takahashi breaking the joints to achieve that effect, a technique commonly seen in animation. Once again, we get more great background animation with interesting camera work. Takahashi tackles the various angles in such an effortless way. I also have to give props to the storyboard. The transition from tracking the snow effects and breaking away to the two characters is definitely attention grabbing, with the smooth pan then around Broly. Takahashi holds on the key pose, providing again breathing room for the audience to catch what's going on as it builds up into the next hit. Vegeta, however, launches a big kick right into Broly, with that sort of color burn filter applied, which you can see all over the big impacts. The kick feels snappy but also effortless through the contrast of build-up between the two characters' actions, with Broly's being rather long and Vegeta's being rather short. Vegeta's relaxed body language also aids in giving that feel. The power from the kick is displayed also very well with Broly, with the rapid speed in which he's knocked back, executed through quite wide spacing and being animated on ones, so one new drawing every frame. As Takahashi holds in on Broly, the camera slowly tilts to the left, lining directly up with the character, giving a more dramatic shot, with the character launching directly at the viewer. Also, the way in which the ice shards are pulled back but then pushed forward to illustrate the push of his aura was a nice touch. The abrupt camera shake as he powers up, and throughout the next cut, with the multiple punches launched at Vegeta, as well as the lightning speed to his actions, illustrated through the timing and spacing, gives a monstrous feeling behind them. There's additionally more great character art of Vegeta, which this scene in general is filled with. The camera then switches out from the first person perspective, with Vegeta launching a direct punch in the face, before landing a big blow on the stomach, then a smooth spinning kick to finish it off. One thing I'll mention is that it's great how after the big impact, instead of the usual formula you might see in Z of character reactions or switching to then some looped animation, it's followed up by interesting choreography with actually a lot of animated movement for both characters. There's also great overlapping action with the hair and with Broly's fur pelt. A very loose and natural feeling is communicated. With Vegeta's spinning kick, there's again a loose and realistic feel to the movement. Takahashi uses smears for the lower legs and feet, then puts a hold on Vegeta's right leg, with the left sweeping underneath. The right foot meanwhile is drifting back as he stretches out his left leg. He then blurs out the left, and then the right, as well as it picks up speed. His knee is then put on the ground as he completely rotates his body with a solid kick. The directional energy behind the motion is strong and with a great arc, providing a swift motion to this attack. To finish it off, he then leaps up. Love the exaggerated pose here. Then with the hit, the camera makes a dramatic shift, placing them half outside the frame, adding to the power behind it. Vegeta then launches off after him, speeding over the ice with a couple of hits chucked in before they come back into focus. And after more hits are exchanged, they slowly drift upwards into the air with the scene ending there. Now the background animation over the ice looks incredibly smooth, the long shot as well really sells the scale of the battle, and again more excellent camera work and snappy hits. However, Broly's launch up to Vegeta is especially dramatic and forceful. This is executed in part through several incredible drawings here with very exaggerated shapes, also having a lot of rhythm to them. Additionally, the impact frames and the multiple pieces of detailed aura effects further achieve this result. Takahashi then begins to add more longer holds with sort of a slow motion effect on hits, with more dramatic close-ups on Vegeta, with his expressions looking more serious than before, which displays to the audience a rise in the intensity as this battle is gradually beginning to heat up. And some other minor notes before wrapping up is that I love seeing all the inky smears as Vegeta knocks back Broly's arm, and I noticed earlier that when Broly misses Vegeta, Takahashi illustrates several strands of hair coming off. Again, a really nice touch. But with that though, brings us to the end. So in summary, Shintani's faith in Takahashi was not misplaced. The storyboard for this section by Masato Mitsuka, much like his prior work on the series, delivers a grand sense of scale and, like many scenes in this film, was quite ambitious. And Takahashi certainly executes it in a compelling way. Camera angles and general motion to characters was dynamic, the hits themselves felt very weighty and the drawings were amazing. All in all, this easily is some of Takahashi's best work on Dragon Ball. Would love to one day see the Gengar for it, but with that, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you later.